Hello and welcome to tonight's UGC League matchup between Team What a Surprise and the Super Trash Brothers. I'm Armpit, stats analyst for New Meta Media. Follow us on Twitter at NMMDota or like New Meta Media on Facebook for a heads up on upcoming casts. Tonight, your caster is of course Sub-Zero, and Javivi joining him in the co-caster's chair as we look at Week 5 of the North America Iron Division. I'm super pumped to see how this series plays out, but that is more than enough of my voice for now. Time to hand this one over to the guys at the casting desk.
Alright, thank you, Armpit. Yeah, tonight's cast here brought to you by New Meta Media. I am Sub-Zero. Also beside me is Vivi. Say hello, Vivi. Tonight's matchup, obviously against Super Trash Brothers, an interesting matchup, definitely, against Team What a Surprise. Tonight we're looking at, right away here, 6 o'clock my time and 5 o'clock their time. We're ready for a night of enjoyable 2-game cast here. What do you think about these first bands here, Vivi?
Wind Ranger at your service.
Radiant Team pick. Lion. Radiant Team are now picking.
Yeah, I mean, right out the bat, Super Trash Brothers picking out that Wind Ranger. It's a pick that they've picked up before. They're about 50% win with that, so interesting to see. I mean, most teams in these kind of brackets here, whether they're pro or amateur, they tend to stick to the same picks that they're comfortable with. And I mean, why not? You want to be able to play a hero, obviously, whether it's a tournament event or even in pubs that you can normally play, right? So Lion also being picked up from What a Surprise, and I mean, it's a support pick that pretty much everybody's been picking up lately. It's got the stun, it's got the disable, turning anybody into a frog or fish, and obviously with the ultimate, throwing a finger at anybody just to get them nuked down is more than enough to win a team fight sometimes, especially if it builds an Aghanim Scepter. So interesting to see that pickup as well. Now I want to talk about these priority bans here. Obviously Quap and Undying coming out from Super Trash, and the Silencer and the Shrek coming out from What a Surprise. What kind of bans are these? Do you think it's more of a respect ban, or is it really just because of the patch right now?
Radiance ban. Only 10 seconds.
Yeah, and coming right away with the Tusk, I mean, that's even more lockdown and disable. Magnus coming out from Trash, which is obviously turning into a team fight build. I mean, RP just goes through BKB, it goes through so much that you can, once you get a collective of people stuck in the RP, Wind Ranger following up in the back end, whether she is a support, usually she's going to be played as more of a core role right now, so tossing out a ton of arrows to get more damage in, a little bit more DPS. What kind of lineup are we looking here more for both of these teams? Now, we haven't seen anybody pick up on the side of Trash here any great passives coming out, but most often Tusk does build out to that Silver Edge now, which takes away those passive abilities. It'll be interesting to see for sure who Trash does pick up, because Tusk, like I said, once he picks up that Silver Edge, that Walrus Punch goes through so much, knocking off those passive abilities, whether it is some sort of resistance or tank up ability. So, I mean, they're missing a little bit of tank coming from Trash. They're missing a little bit of sustain. Obviously, Windrunner with her run, so she doesn't get any damage on her. But other than that, they don't have any real tank. What do you expect to see come out from them?
Ten seconds to pick. 5 seconds. Hurry, hurry.
Keeper of the light.
And Keeper the Light coming out from What a Surprise. That's an interesting support right off the bat. I mean, seeing it in the pro scene, yeah, you expect people to pick it up right away. It is a great hero. You get a ton of vision once he picks up the Aghanim Scepter. Not only that, he is a lane dominance hero with that Illuminate, and can actually pick off a couple in a team fight, throwing out in the back end. And with the the mana leak, draining all that mana is so important against heroes like the Omni Knight that's being picked up, like the Magnus, that don't have the huge mana pool right off the bat. So who's going to be playing this Keeper of the Light, do you think?
Only 10 seconds. 5 seconds remain. Reserve time.
And yeah, there's your sustain coming out with the Omni Knight. So you get the heal, you get the obviously the Guardian Angel from the alt is huge, but they don't have a lot of physical DPS right now except for the Tusk. But mainly, like, the Repel is so useful against a lot of these spells coming right out. Lion, obviously you can block that finger, and Keeper of the Light, the Illuminate, it'll go right through it, and you won't feel any of the effects from it. So definitely good pickup here for the Omni Knight on the side of Trash Brothers, and they're kind of missing a little bit of carry here. Now the Anti-Mage has been banned out, as well as the Shadow Fiend, so a little bit of right click that they're missing. They might get a little bit from the Wind Ranger depending on how she builds, but there's your tank ability. So actually a lot of sustain coming out from Super Trash Brothers. And the Invoker being picked up from What a Surprise. So yeah, like you kind of called it there, a little bit of team fight from the Lion and the Tusk, and now with the Invoker being picked up, that's a lot of disable.
I'm wondering if this is actually going to be a safe lane farming Wind Ranger, since I don't really see her run as a support lately. It doesn't seem to be very viable. There's a lot of people who can do better for the same cost. So it's going to be important to have a natural BKB carrier on Super Trash Brothers, because pretty much everything that What a Surprise can throw at them is BKB blockable.
Exactly. I mean, the Axe Call goes through BKB there, the RP goes through BKB. It is a really dominant lineup to have if they ever do go for any BKBs. For What a Surprise, not too many BKB carriers though right off the bat. I mean, Tusk doesn't normally go for one, he's more of the ganker kind of build, and Invoker, you don't really see him too much either, obviously with the disable. If he wants to get an Orchid or Yule Scepter, I imagine eventually he's going to get an Axe too. It's just not something that you see come out for him for an item right away. And now with Axe being picked up, I mean, they're only lacking one more support. I agree with you with the Wind Ranger being picked up as their kind of right-clicking core, and depending on her item build, hopefully that'll turn out with them. But probably with this fifth pick, they might as well just pick up the Rubik. I mean, they picked it up before, they've won with it 50% of the time, and there's just so much to steal from this lineup here, so definitely a great fifth pick if they want it.
I'd love to see an Outworld Devourer coming out from What a Surprise. Odie, someone who, doesn't build a BKB, doesn't need it. They definitely need it to be a ranged core against the Magnus and the Axe, and so much mana drain that they could take advantage of. But it will be the Sven coming out.
Dire team pick.
It's actually Drought picked up last on Super Trash here, so they're more right click. Obviously that's going to do wonders here for the Wind Ranger, and just with that natural damage aura from the Drow, that's a lot of damage. They're going to be able to take those early towers probably. And the Sven last pick for Team What a Surprise, seeing that come out. I mean, they needed some sort of carry at the end, a little bit of right click, and that's exactly what they're going to get. So right off the bat here, we have Dire side, we have Team Super Trash Brothers, we have Not the Mama running on the Omni Knight, End Times on the Axe, Toolbox on the Farming Windrunner, Denise on the Magnus, and on bottom we have Bubble Pop on the Drow Ranger.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I don't know how they're going to be running these lanes. Is this support Magnus? This could be next level plays right here. A little bit of a pause, but that'll give me some time to introduce Team What a Surprise. We have Squid on that Keeper of the Light, WAS Sun running that mid lane Invoker. We have Legend on the Tusk off lane, Kalis on that safe lane farming Sven, and TWR going to be supporting him on the Lion.
Yeah, it is interesting. I'm not sure if that will be a Magnus support or what. Did he pick up the wards? Because he's still got 300 in the bank.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what's going on with this. No, it looks like Axe picked up the ward, owned by End Times. I don't know what to make of this draft right now. Oh, this could just be like a two-core offlane between the Wind Ranger and the Axe, you know, to really kind of contest that Sven, make sure he doesn't get online.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good lineup here coming out from Super Trash Brothers. Nothing against the other team, but I mean, that's their survivability right there, and a lot of right click. I mean, I kind of forgot about Bubble Plop playing on the Drow here. That is a lot of damage early on and late for this Windrunner. I mean, obviously so much right click coming out, and yeah, they have a lot of disable on the side of WAS, but if they don't get locked down here, if there's any sort of silence coming out, if they do put, like, let's say an Orchid on the Windrunner or whatever, or get the jump on them for whatever reason, if it's a smoke, that's a lot of damage coming out right off the bat.
Yeah, and besides the RP, there's not a ton of huge ultimates that are going to be going off in team fights, but there's a lot of lockdown on both sides, and this may tend to favor the Sven a little bit more if he can get up close and personal. It depends on when he can get at BKB, but again, with Trash Brothers having so much that goes through it, I'm not so sure about the Sven pickup.
They were lacking a little bit of extra damage there. I mean, really what they had is the ultimates, especially from the Walrus Punch as well as Lion's Finger, but they're lacking that little bit of right click, and with this Invoker pickup, that's more of a disable kind of pick. You don't really want to throw, let's say, a Deso or anything on him quite yet. It's just he needs that disable to be able to win some team fights. So Kalis going on the Sven, they did need that right click. It'll be interesting to see, especially like you said, with these BKBs going, everything translates through it. So it really depends on how this early game goes. I mean, if he gets a lot of farm on that Sven, he will be really hard to control. Most of the time you get that Mask of Madness or what have you, and you just kind of start that race car build and run around the map. So definitely interesting to see with these lineups.
He's definitely going to have a very difficult time, especially if the Omni Knight is able to pick up an Aghanim Scepter. You know, just being able to protect all of his allies from all that right-click damage from anywhere on the map is going to be vital.
Yeah, it looks like we're coming back here after that quick pause, so yeah, it looks like it could be definitely a Magnus support here going out through the jungle. And now in terms of securing this rune here, we got 3 coming down on bottom, Squid on the Keeper of the Light, and Kalis on that Sven. That's going to be 2 stuns here with the Lion, with TWR. It's going to be try against try here on bottom. This will be a little bit interesting to see who snags this bounty rune, if it will be an early first blood or just kind of better heads prevail sort of engagement. Who do you think is going to have the better of this two if they actually square off?
If they square off at level 1 around the rune, let me just make sure that, yeah, they're holding on to their skill points. We do have an Illuminate level 1 picked up by the Keeper of the Light. With both those stuns, you know, it's a lot of AoE damage. I would give it to the Radiant, but I don't know. What do you think? A Drow isn't the best level 1 skirmisher. Axe has to choose between his call and his spin. Who would you give the advantage to?
Yeah, I mean, even if Drow does get off a quick silence, they're just lacking a little bit more lockdown with the Sven having their stun as well as the Lion. I'd still probably give it to Surprise here if they do have a sort of a little engagement. It will be definitely difficult. I mean, even if Axe does get a call in, he won't have his spins available, so that's a lot of damage that they will be missing. So they might just be better just to kind of hang tough, give up the bounty rune, get their lanes sorted, and continue on from there.
Absolutely. Now, Toolbox usually plays the mid on Trash Brothers, and so do you think we're going to see him rotate? Yeah, he's definitely going to have to rotate toward mid after they have a little bit of a skirmish near the bottom rune. I'm not too sure where this Omni Knight is going to go, but he may join them bottom, or they could end up dual laning it. If it is a dual lane scenario, do you think Tusk is going to be able to hold his own against an Omni Knight and a Magnus?
It's going to be tough. Yeah. I mean, Tusk is a great hero and all. He's got a little bit of control here with his ice shards and his snowball, but oh geez, that's so much sustain coming out with an Omni Knight, and Magnus is just able to shockwave and keep pounding on him. And with only a couple tangos in Tusk's back pocket, it's gonna be hard for him to stay alive. He's not the tankiest hero right out the bat. But for Toolbox, like you said, I think it is gonna be the Windrunner mid here. She's got only one pulled tango, and I think she might just be saving for that early bottle.
Now, here's something interesting I just noticed. Drow Ranger actually has a mango in her inventory. Drow not being someone that I usually associate with needing a mango. I mean, she doesn't exactly tank up on regen, and she doesn't need tons of mana. What do you think? Is she holding this for someone else, or saving it for a quick silence?
Could be holding it for the Axe, because as we know, I mean, Axe running in the bottom lane, if they are going to start pulling the wave, he's going to run out of mana real quick, just for the fact that he will be calling as much as possible. Even toss out the casual battle hunger just to kind of keep them at bay. So he'll be short of mana real quick. Even if it isn't, that's going to be a lot of silences coming up from Bubble Pop.
It's going to be very interesting to see how the bottom lane holds up. I think that during the laning phase, it's going to be okay if Keeper of the Light can, you know, keep putting mana on both of his lane mates. Actually, this is a lot of mana sustain between Lion with his mana drain and then the chakra magic. I think they'll be able to throw out a lot of harass in the form of spells.
Yeah, not only chakra magic, but this will be a Quaswex Invoker, so EMP is stealing so much mana coming right back. So, yeah, definitely an interesting combo coming out from What a Surprise. A lot of mana steal, and I mean, sometimes you need mana for those engagements, obviously. They do have a Magnus. He's got to have it for that initial RP, and Omni to even keep up the sustain. Sure, he's going to go for a Soul Ring, but drain all his mana, and then he's pretty left useless. So, definitely interesting to see. So, I think they're going to go grab another monitor, and a little bit back and forth here in the pause. So, while we are paused, might as well plug in back to hit us up at NMM Dota on Twitter, and follow our own Twitch channel at New Meta Media. And we host another tournament every Thursday and do as much streaming as possible, so go follow us there, and we'll definitely be sure to talk to you back.
And it's only going to get better as the weeks go on. We are a relatively new group of casters, but just hitting our stride these days. Yeah, you know, I was very sure of the efficacy of Trash Bros team fights in the mid game, but now that I'm looking at all the mana steal that they have, and, you know, if you can take away all of Axe's mana, and with the amount of lockdown that What a Surprise has, it's going to be very difficult for Axe to be effective in these team fights unless he can get that quick Blink Dagger. I think that's going to be one of the big thresholds. Both Magnus and Axe need their Blink Daggers early if they're going to pull off this lineup.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, we've talked about it before here. Axe, of course, needs the mana early on, so I really like the mana steal lineup. It's definitely interesting. They're lacking a little bit, but they have tons of disable for sure. And with tool blocks going mid against this Invoker run by Sun, who do you think is going to win this sort of matchup? I mean, Invoker's not the strongest early on, but as soon as he gets a couple more levels in, a little bit more damage or speed, being able to toss out a Cold Snap, or if he does Tornado EMP, Wynn's going to have a little bit of a tough time here.
Yeah, and Quaswex Invoker is, I think, one of the most underrated mid heroes in the current meta. I think that he's incredibly strong. He has a lot of movement speed, and this is definitely more of an early fighting meta where it does favor maneuverability. He also has early access to his invisibility, so he can ghost walk away if there's mid rotations, which is something we're also seeing a lot. Just very active. Definitely the more popular Invoker build these days.
What do you think about Squid running the Keeper of the Light? Like we were talking about in the draft, we don't see it too often. I mean,
I love Keeper of the Light. Every time I see him,
I love when he comes out.
Just Gandalf riding in on his horse. I think he
is definitely one a great hero to watch, but it just will be interesting. I mean, yeah, sure, the right click block from the blinding light, but apart from that, it's just going to be interesting if they want to just go full push here with the Keeper of the Light. Now that's the tri-lane, but it will be difficult, especially up against his Axe.
One of my favorite things to do, and this is both, it applies to Keeper of the Light and Night Stalker, is once you get your Aghanim Scepter, you have that unimpeded vision, you can just get a gem and take over map control. Like, you can de-ward them no matter where they're warding, even in the super difficult spots that we've found. And yeah, then it becomes very difficult for a Magnus or an Axe to get a Blink Initiation. This could be the X factor in the late game.
that vision is just so key to have. Like the amount of vision that he gets once he picks up his Aghanim Scepter. I mean, Coddle just roams the map. He can see anybody coming unless they're smoked. But I mean, he's just got so much potential to just roam around the map, especially if they want to group up 5 and start taking towers or team fights, whether it is a Rosh, if he wants to sit on high ground and wait for them to kind of take it down. It's definitely a key pickup that pretty much every Keeper of the Light nowadays has to pick up for the late game. They just need the vision to be able to survive around.
Now, what do you think of Tusk as a sort of a defensive core against, you know, you get Magnus jumping in with his reverse polarity, you get Axe coming in doing his Berserker's Call, but if Tusk is quick enough, has a nice trigger finger. He can get in there, snowball, and save all of his teammates. I feel like, you know, if something like that were to happen in a team fight, it could be absolutely devastating against Trash Brothers' lineup.
Yeah, and don't forget, it's not only just his ball and his punch, but his Frozen Sigil is going to be really intensive against the Drow Ranger as well as the Windrunner. I mean, people they mistake that Frozen Sigil's like a horrible item. It's not. It's quite good. You get the slow right off the bat. Yeah, sure, that's good to have Sven chase down other heroes. But not only that, the attack slow that's going to add on top from Drow getting all her agility. It's just going to cut it right back. I mean, 60 attack slow at level 4. It's quite a bit to have.
It's game breaking.
If Windranger is actually going to pick up the Maelstrom, yeah, sure, she's going to get a little bit more attack speed, but that's still a lot cutting back, and it is very important. So like you said, if Tusk can jump into a team fight right away, be able to get rid of the call from Axe just from a Walrus Punch and kind of negate the amount of spins, that can be a game-breaking change here for Tusk to jump into a team fight. So it looks like Omni Knight's coming back, and hopefully we can get the game underway here for UGC League Season 5.
4. Hey!
Season 4, Week 5. Week 5, that's what I meant.
That's alright. And it should be noted that Tusk's Frozen Sigil is, I think, the only thing on What a Surprise that goes through BKB.
Yeah, Walrus Punch goes through pretty much everything, right?
Oh, so that does too, right.
Looks like we're good.
I never played this hero.
Digital Sports.
Tusk is great right now. So, early ward going out on top, and Magnus getting a little control here on the rune, but if Invoker's doing anything like Invoker does, he's able to sneak in there real quick. Down on bottom here, we do have this tri-lane against tri-lane engagement, so we're hoping for a little early first blood against these three, and I mean, Windranger just getting a little early vision, and actually the other three are sitting in the back here.
Yeah, they might choose not to go for it. Now, as an Invoker player yourself, what do you think of the level 1 Wex? Is that normal? I don't play Quas Wex Invoker at all.
Yeah, you don't really need Quas right off the bat. It's just not really useful to get the regen. There's not a lot happening. And to get the move speed, even though it's only a couple move speed at a time, getting that early Wex, if you're not going for the Quas Exhort, you might as well get the move speed, right? You don't worry about the regen. If you're not going to last hit with the Exhort, you might as well get the move speed.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, Windranger has scaled Windrun first, so they may get off the stun and even a little bit of an Illuminate, but she might be able to make a quick getaway if she's smart, or even deny herself to Roshan. I don't see... Oh yeah, it looks like Axe and Drow are going to be moving in as well.
Yeah, they're going to have to snake around the back end, because not only is that the first stun, but Sven's coming right in for another one here. He's already got his Stormhammer upgraded up, so Toolbox better look out. Even though she's got Windrun up, she needs to get out of there soon.
Now, there's been a lot of discussion in the community about holding on to your first level, your first skill point, because you never know what you're going to need, but there are some heroes that I feel maybe there isn't much of an alternative. Do you ever see a time when it's useful to level anything other than Stormhammer right away?
Not unless you're making a quick getaway, or if you are chasing down, maybe perhaps you smoke up and turn on Warcry and be able to chase somebody down. That's about the only other thing I can think of.
Yeah, I guess it may be more defensive because you can give someone else move speed and armor, but yeah. Oh, it looks like we are going to see another pause coming out here. This poor guy here, not the mama, needs to fix his computer. We're gonna run out of things to say before the horn goes off. What am I talking about? We're never gonna run out of things to say.
We talk forever. That's just how we are.
Long-winded. I think being a caster is the only place that it's appreciated.
Oh, we can sure hold a conversation. That's for damn sure.
Yes, indeed. Oh, this is...
Looks like he's got issue with his graphics card, so I'm not sure where this one's gonna go for Not the Mama. I had that a couple months ago. Graphics card blew up on me, and
oh my god,
you're kind of shit out of luck. There's not a lot of options that you have.
Yeah, you were trying so long to diagnose what was wrong with your computer. Felt awful.
But hey, I'm back in action. Got a better graphics card, so let's hope that's not the problem here for Not the Mama. It's really unfortunate for that thing to go down.
Yeah, and this is just the absolute worst timing he could think of, right at the beginning of a league match. UGC League, not... Never mind. Boots being picked up first on Tusk as an off-laner against a dual lane. Now, he'll have a little bit of extra move speed to get away, but he might need a little bit more regen than just the tangos. You think he's going to bring himself some extra regen with that courier?
It really depends on how this lane's going to go, because some Magnuses like to save their little bit of extra mana, not Shockwave more as a spam, but kind of use it more as a farming tool. So he might actually be okay. He's just going to have to stay out of XP range for a little bit just to be able to kind of regen up if he's being harassed a bunch. So I think he's okay with the pull tangos so far, but yeah, I mean, with the early boots of speed, he should be able to rotate around the trees and everything, just kind of dodging the Shockwave, so he should be okay right off the bat.
Yeah, it should be fine.
Well, now that we're sitting here for a decent amount of time here, what are we hoping here for TI when we make it there, Vivi? By the way, anybody that is at TI, if you want to give us a quick wave or say hello, we are more than welcome.
I am hoping for good dotos and hopefully to not get kicked out for harassing the pro players.
Yeah, let's try not do that so much.
Yeah, we don't want... Yeah. Oh my god, I just found
Who's
the
your team?
waterfall. I've never seen this before. Okay, you know how sometimes when the game is loading there's that waterfall? I've never seen where it is. It's right here. Oh, that is awesome.
The more you know.
The more you know, apparently. I'm gonna see if I can get a better view
Who's
of
your
it.
team for TI?
My team? Oh, I don't want to talk about it. Don't want to get any hatred. Okay.
Thanks, Armpit.
I think we're all in the same boat. Yup. Pretty much. No, I've always been an EG fan, just because I love Fear as a personality. He pretty much embodies the psychology of a player that I've always wanted to have. He's just, you know, he's not really fazed by much, and he can just focus on the game. He's never really salty that I've seen. Of course, you know, I'm sure some people have found examples of that, but yeah. I also love Universe. All of his tweets just make me laugh.
Yeah, I've always been an EG fan. Not that I don't like them, but I'm going to be that guy and have to pick Secret this year. I mean, they're just too dominant.
I think to balance us out, Herring's going to have to cheer for a Chinese team. Vici? Herring? Do I hear Vici? Yup. Okay, everybody keep your fingers crossed here. We're going to pray for no disconnect on the Omni Knight. Come on, not the mama. Might just have to, like, uninstall and reinstall Dota. I know that's really horrible because he'll lose all of his settings, but I hope it doesn't come to that.
Back to the indecipherable gibberish.
Yep, he's running around.
Yeah, it looks like he's in game, so we're all good here. So they're going to go hard on Toolbox here, down on bottom. Did manage to pick up the rune on Sven, and they're just going to start to chase down Toolbox, but I don't think it'll be to any avail. They've popped off. Oh, that is a stun. They actually nick him in the trees here, and that will be first blood going to Kalis on the Sven.
Oh, Lion with the last second Earth Spike right when it was off cooldown, too. That was really well played by them.
Yeah, I can't believe he actually managed to get that off the Earth Spike just in time, just off a cooldown, and managed to sneak it through the trees and pull off that first blood.
You know, this is something that was a little bit risky, you know, going for the Earth Spike first instead of the Sven Stormhammer, because obviously it's a lot more reliable, but Lion has enough mana to Earth Spike multiple times, so very good decision making on the side of What a Surprise.
Now right away here, since he does get the first blood, Kalis also gets the bounty rune. How's this bottom lane going to go? Tri-lane against tri-lane. Do you think it's going to be difficult here for Trash Brothers, or do you think it's going to be more of an even swap? They have a lot of sustain, and Bubble Pop has the range to push him out if he needs to. So I don't expect Sven getting a lot of farm out of it, but I think he'll still be okay and not go down.
I'm not too sure. I think this is a very volatile lane. I think both sides have a lot of kill potential, but is the Drow farming, or is it mostly going to go to the Axe? I can't really tell. It's going to depend on who gets the jump and who has more mana.
Yeah, I mean, right away they were kind of trading farm here, but I think Bubble Pop is going to be farm priority right off the bat. She's going to need to be able to scale up her Precision Aura a ton for this Wind Ranger to really take off on mid. I mean, right now they're already sitting at level 3 and only Windrunner's at level 2. So, interesting lineup, obviously matchup between these two. I do give it to the Invoker right away once he does have his disables online. Sure, Toolbox can spam out the power shot, but that's really all she has.
Yeah, this is true. I would, as a Wind Ranger, I'd be a little bit afraid of this lane. That being said, if she does choose to power level her Shackle and just get 1 point in the Wind Run, she may stand a chance once she hits 6. We are going to see Tusk going hard on the Magnus up top here, but he will walk away.
Yeah, so it will be the solo lane on top, and Denise just going to be stuck against Legend here. I mean, Legend on the Tusk, we were talking he might have a hard time if the Omni does rotate top, but with the Snowball and Ice Shards on 1, it's going to be really hard for Denise to really get anything done. He's sitting on no mana, and he's going to want to get a bottle online soon. He's not going to have any mana for a while here. Shockwave does get rather expensive as he levels it up, so...
He's actually picked up a Basilius. It's just on the way on the courier.
And down on bottom here, Lion actually picking up a kill on Axe, must have thrown off the stuns, but Bubble Pop getting a return kill on their carry on Sven. So, interesting trade for sure. Yeah, sure, they pick up the Axe on the side for Trash Brothers, but the return kill on the Sven is going to be huge now that he already had that early lead, but turns it right back on Bubble Pop.
Now, he did go for the Morbid Mask first. How do you feel about this? I mean, it's obviously a good thing to get early in the game, but at level 1, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, it's interesting. You kind of want to save the Morbid Mask for more of later on when you're, per se, farming camps or really just kind of chasing down for ganks. Right out of the bat, sure, he might need the survivability, and I think that's what Kalos is thinking for, but he might actually want to grab an early boot so he's able to run around the map so he doesn't get picked off like that again.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and Magnus is getting completely zoned out top. Tusk almost getting the kill on him there, and he's going to have to walk all the way back to base.
Yeah, Tusk more than having an easy time on top. He's sitting at 21 last hits here, top of the charts, so really easy for him. Maybe get out that early Silver Edge if he wants to go for it. Yeah,
it would help a lot against the Drow. And the Axe, I guess it would take away his call, but other than that, I don't think it would be too efficacious.
No, it's not a game-changing item for sure, but it is difficult to get on top of an Axe when you're having to spend so much on sentries for their supports, just to kind of get any vision of them. He's just going to roam around the map if he does pick it up online real quick. We do see Wind Ranger picking up an Invis, but it looks like bottom is going to be a little bit of a skirmish. Yeah, bottom, lots of engagement here, and they're actually going to start chasing down Kalos here. I don't think they're going to have enough damage here to turn on him. And just look to be trading back and forth with last hits. Kalos is actually going to stay in lane here. Playing a little deep, and End Times really wants to jump in there for another call. He's got it online again, but Lion turns around and throws out a stun, and they're both getting really low. Luckily for side of Trash Brothers here, they have so much to sustain with the heals coming out from the Omni Knight that they're just going to be able to stay in lane, and it looks like End Times is going to start diving here. It's a question of what wins out, mana sustain or health sustain. Yeah, no doubt, hey. And he gets the repel tossed on him, misses the call on Squid, but Bubble Pop taking down the Sven through the trees here, and Squid also goes down to the Drow, so that's a double kill for Drow, and a buyback coming out from Sven. He's going to want to chase down these kills, but too little too late here, Kalos. You're not going to have any luck. Not the Mama falling a little low, but gets silenced up by Drow, and I don't think they're going to turn back on him. Omni Knight still doesn't have his degen, so I think they'll be okay. The Orb of Venom, though, on the Drought Ranger, actually doing a lot of work with the level 2 slow. Yeah, being able to chase down those kills, and not the Mama doesn't even have his degen aura on. They're just going to start stacking slows with each other. It's going to be huge for them later on. Yeah, and Wind Ranger almost getting the kill on the Invoker mid, but he is able to pop off his Tornado just in time and runs to safety. Yeah, both sitting pretty close. They're both actually splitting here at 23 apiece for last hits. And correct me if I'm wrong here, I think they're both the same level, so not really a game-changing lineup here between both mid players. They're both getting done what they need to. A couple of denies, a couple of last hits coming out, and I think they're just more than happy just to get some farm and not have to worry about dying. Pretty soon you're going to expect some ganks coming out from either side here, because this tri-lane is just maniacal down on bottom. Stuns being thrown out, mana drain, heals.
Here. There's actually a little bit of action going on top. Windranger's going to dive this Tusk, and looks like she might get the kill. She has a haste room, but gets blocked off by the ice shards.
Yeah, real good Ice Shard block there. Windranger just not able to get out. And down on bottom, actually, they're chasing down Sven here. Kalis running rather low. Bubble Pop chasing down, still has ton of mana, but gets stunned up by TWR. And so is the Lion. End Time's actually looking really low, but does get healed up by the Omni Knight. And I think both are just going to look to get back. Better heads prevail. But so much action down here on bottom. Really back and forth. And Sven's really starting to be harassed out of this lane. Still sitting second at last hits here with 27. So they haven't taking complete control on top of Kalis, but doing an okay job harassing him out for sure.
It looks like Tusk has actually been sent back to base twice now, so I was quite sure he was going to take control of this top lane, but Magnus is actually holding his own with that Basilius.
Yeah, opts out to go for the bottle and instead picks up the Basilius. I mean, a little bit more... it's a little bit better getting that armor out and a little bit of mana regen. Most Magnuses tend to go for that bottle, but yeah, I think he needs to just stay in lane, get his XP. He's already at level 7, so making a comeback for sure. Sitting just behind this Tusk.
Yeah, and with Tusk picking up phase boots, he does really benefit from that extra armor.
Drow's now finished her power treads, so wanting to go full stats in this kind of build. And you know what, I agree with her. I don't really see anything coming out from Drow these days. I mean, some people did start to pick up that phase boot for a little extra damage, but it's better for Drow just to tank up. She is such a squishy hero, and along with this Wind Ranger combo, and actually she's going to go hard on Sun on mid here. Invoker throwing out the Tornado EMP, and Toolbox getting rather low. She does manage to get the wind run off, and he might actually look to chase her. She does manage, however, to hit the 8-minute mark for the rune, and she bottles up and sitting pretty high on health. And Power Shot goes out, and Sun running really low here, and it's just a back and forth chase on mid. Meanwhile, on bottom, they're starting to chase down, and Kalis going down to Bubble Pop and the tower. So both of them sitting low, and TWR being chased down by End Times as well. And everybody running real low. Bubble Pop starting to chase down, but both get stunned up. Huge turnaround by TWR, and Squid tossing out the Illuminate just for sure luck here that they both get out. And actually, Lion does manage to finally go down here. Did Axe throw out the casual Battle Hunger on top of him, I think, to take that kill?
Yeah, he didn't actually get the kill. It was just a ranged creep that hit him down, which is very funny. It's like getting killed by a Crystal Maiden right-click.
That's unfortunate. Last ditch effort by the creep to turn around. No more Lion for you.
Wow. A lot of action happening all around the map right now. Not a ton of kills. Like, we're not even seeing a kill per minute, but just so much of people getting sent back to base. Very, very volatile lanes.
Yeah, other than that, really, Drow's taking quite control of this. We're picking up a couple of those kills. She's sitting at 3-0-2, and actually Squid's going to get called up here by End Times with Toolbox rotating in. Gets stunned up, but this will be a kill on Squid, and it is Windrunner to pick that up. Meanwhile, Tusk on top does manage to bring down the Magnus, so that's another one for him. He's getting quite on top of farm here, sitting at almost 1,200 gold and doing pretty well for last hits. Already at level 8, almost 9.
I'd just like to point out that the amount of last hits we see on the Invoker right now is usually what you see on a Quas Exort Invoker, but he's doing very well controlling this lane. Windranger only having 30 last hits herself.
Yeah, I mean, that last engagement was a little bit back and forth, and Wind almost getting the Invoker, but as soon as she leaves to kind of ditch mid lane to get some ganks on bottom, I'm sure she's successful, but now Sun's going to take this over. And End Time's actually getting another call on Kalis, and everybody's rotated on bottom. This is definitely going to be a kill on Kalis if Axe chooses to chase this down, and he will. And it is the Drow that actually picks it up. But meanwhile, Tusk coming in the background, Legend already picking off a kill with the Keeper of the Light, and is actually shackled down, and Axe turns around and dunks him, and they're going to look to chase down Squid. So right now, 2-for-1 trade, Drow going down compared to the Sven, and Squid narrowly making it out with his life. Toolbox almost getting a perfect power shot and gets enough damage off. But yeah, meanwhile, that is a 2-for-1 trade, so
Magnus
both teams are running really low.
Magnus almost getting picked off by the Invoker mid, but Magnus does turn around and pull out a Shockwave at the last second and takes down that poor little Invoker, so squishy.
Radiant's bottom
Yeah, this
tower
is a ton of back and forth, and Axe getting really close to his Blink Dagger. Already has Tranquils and about 1,700 in the bank, and what kind of item are we going to look here for the Windrunner? She's already sitting at 1,200. Does she want to go for that early Ags and pick up this point booster?
Yeah, we might see a little bit of Slasher's Way coming out. She, especially with the carry Windranger, you tend to see it a lot more, and then they go right for the MKV or the crit, whatever seems to work better for them.
So right now on top of the board, Tusk sitting at level 9 and Invoker at level 8, and he actually looks to go on Toolbox here. Tosses out the Tornado, but I think Toolbox will be fine sitting pretty close to the T1 here. And Denise, oh, whiffs on the RP, and Sun's just going to get back into safety here.
That could have been absolutely devastating for Sun. He'd lose this amazing lead that he's worked hard to build up. I mean, he already did die to the Magnus, but would have just been salt in the wounds.
So, yeah, Sun actually picking up a Midas here. Line going down to the power shot of the Windrunner here on mid, so it's a good kill pickup for her. But yeah, Midas picking up, getting picked up here by Sun. And he looks to go for the late game, which is definitely interesting to see here. If they do manage to get the Sven online and kind of 5 or 6 slot of Sven, along with this Invoker, that will be definitely detrimental. Tornado going out and whiffs on end times, and I don't think they should probably chase down on this one.
No.
And they look to just get back.
With Nakamama sitting in the sidelines, I think the Axe would be pretty safe if they did decide to pursue up the high ground.
Tower is taking damage.
Bubble Pop finishing his Ring of Aquila, and now that he has the power treads, he looks to push the T1 a little bit, and job well done for sure. Still sitting at 4-1 and 2 for him, and I mean he's not doing horrible for last hits, but he could definitely get more here. And once his farm kind of goes to the roof, him and Windranger together is a great combo, as we've talked about countless times before. And Wind actually picking up a kill on Tusk.
Yeah, Tusk having just completed that Shadow Amulet too, so he's going to be well on his way to his Shadow Blade, but he just couldn't get it out to himself in time, and unfortunately got skewered back into his own ice shards.
Oh, Toolbox looking for the Shackle here on top of Squid, but unable to get it off correctly, and throws the Mana Leak here on the Windrunner. And TBWR rotates in. She's going to be out of mana, and they look to go for the Illuminate. Unfortunately, whiffs on that one, but they're going to go hard on him. And Sun rotates in and gets the Cold Snap off, and they do get the kill. Lion picking up the Killing Spree gold for that Windranger. Meanwhile, on mid, Drow's going to push this tower hard.
Now, it does look like Windranger is going to be going for the Maelstrom first. What are your thoughts on this? It is a little bit less carry-esque and more early fighting, but it could work out in her favor if they break out into early team fights.
Maelstrom's also good for the farming and the push, so if they want to start pushing down these towers to take away the mobility of the lineup for What a Surprise, it is a good item to pick up for sure. We do tend to see the Aghanims being picked up really early just for her to be able to push the towers straight up alone, but if she wants to get in the team fight and be able to farm up for later game, that's important as well. Meanwhile, End Times jumping in on top with his new approved Blink Dagger, and Sun just turning in Viz. Tusk throwing out the snowball going on Denise, and he's getting rather low. Walrus Punch goes out, does get the kill, and gets managed right up from the Coddle, and they do manage to pick off the kill on the Axe. Meanwhile, Toolbox throwing out so much work here, does manage to bring down Tusk, and she's going to try and chase down Squid, but I think it'll be too little too late as TWR starts to rotate in, throws out the Earth Spike, and Cold Snap comes in from the side of Invoker, and she will go down to an Invoker.
Wow.
So a lot of back and forth. That's a 3-for-1 trade here for What a Surprise. Taking a comfortable lead now with the Sven on top of last hits on bottom.
Yeah, he has got that Mask of Madness now. I don't really see him going for a Blink this game. I don't think he'll necessarily need it. If you build the Mask of Madness and you have the War Cry, you tend to have enough mobility to just run in there and start hitting people in the face.
Yeah, and they already have a ton of engagement, whether it's the Snowball Ice Shards coming from Tusk, or if Lion does eventually get a Blink to jump in an Earth Spike, as well as the Invoker throwing out the Tornado EMP. They already have that initiation, so yeah, I agree with you. Sven does not need to pick up the Blink Dagger. What do you think he should get here next? Does he need the damage? Do you think they're going to team fight right away?
It's really tough because there's so much BKB piercing disable on the side of Trash Brothers. I think maybe it would be better to just kind of go Glass Cannon and hope that you don't get called. I might go for a crit first, but I don't play Sven much. What do you think?
1 second here. They are actually going on end times. They managed to get off the Tornado here, but missed the EMP, and I think they're just going to look to push instead. But little do they know that End Times is still sitting pretty with his Blink Dagger and lots of mana, so it'll be interesting to see. For Sven, yeah, I agree. Should go for the Glass Cannon build. They do need the damage that they have been lacking a little bit, especially with an Omni Knight having the Repel. He can save so many of the heroes from the big burst or nuke damage coming out from What a Surprise. So, yeah, I mean, if he goes for early Crystallis, that's probably definitely a good investment for them to get.
Sven getting picked off in his own jungle. That Wind Ranger just being able to do so much work with level 2 Focus Fire already. She is tied for top of the level charts.
And she's going to get turned on here by Squid as well as TWR. She manages to shackle on him, but she's going to get turned right back around. Earth Spike, Blinding Light going out just to secure the kill, and does finally go down to the line right click. But Omni Knight in the back end coming in with Bubble Pop as well as End Times. Misses the dunk, but I think Squid's going to go down either way here if they do manage to chase her down, and does get off the right click here for Drow Ranger. So that's a 2-for-2 trade. Magnus actually going down as well up top here to Sun, I believe.
Yeah, it was a very dangerous fight to be picking with the Wind Ranger, and of course Squid and TW are both going to pay for their sins, but overall a good trade for What a Surprise.
And Sun picking up that early point booster, so looks like he's going the Eggs route, and I mean it's definitely not a bad pickup. If he wants to go full disable and get out as many spells as he can, seeing him right off the bat, I do accumulate that he is a good invoker. He's going to be able to run around the map and crank off 4 or 5 spells right away, so definitely smart to pick up that Eggs, as well as with the Midas. If you can get that out early and kind of farm for the rest of the game to pick up an Orchid or Eul's Scepter, especially on a Quaswex invoker, then he can definitely do so.
Oh, they're going to try and engage on this Magnus under his own tower. Ballsy move.
But he is able to skewer across. Either way, Legend actually goes through with the snowball. RP actually being expended here from Denise. And they're going to turn on top of Legend. He's running pretty low on mana. They do manage to dust him, even though he does have the Shadow Blade on cooldown. And not the Moment's just going to keep chugging along here. He's going pretty low here and actually falls down to the tower here. Meanwhile on mid, Bubble Pop getting really low to TWR, and she picks up the kill on him. And he should be okay. Keeping the Light actually taking that Drow kill. And just before that, Sven managing to go down here to the Drow Ranger. So quick little trade on mid, Axe going down as well, so 2-for-2 in the end.
What a fantastic power shot by Toolbox. That was just really, she estimated exactly where he was going to be behind the tree line and was able to get finished off by that tower. Very well played.
Now right away here we do have a mech coming out on top for Squid. He does have his buckler as well as his headdress, so just completing it now. Lots of push coming out on top from Toolbox. He could probably just stay there and take that tower. I don't know why he's actually backing off, but looks to go farm instead with his new and improved Maelstrom.
Now, do you think... I'm really hoping this is going to be the Aghanim Scepter coming out next, just because with the Drow Aura, she's getting so much right-click damage and she could take great advantage of it.
Yeah, we've been talking about it pretty much all game. It is a lot of damage coming out. And yeah, with the Ags pickup, she's going to be able to push towers or really just go one-on-one, toe-to-toe, pretty much against anybody she wants, whether it is the Sven carry or Sun. And they do smoke up here for Trash Brothers, and I think they're just going to look to rotate around.
They could be looking to take a Roche at the Wind Ranger. No, they're going to walk away from it.
Yeah, and I think What a Surprise knows what's up here. They did have that Observer Ward and noticed that that rune was magically disappeared. But Kalis is going to go in. He's going to get found out by End Times, jumping in, getting the call off, and Toolbox is just going to go ham on him, takes him down right away. Axe actually being Blinding Light up to the cliff. So it's going to be unfortunate for him. Luckily, he does have the Blink Dagger.
Oh, it gets cancelled.
Oh, Sun coming in from the side with a tornado gets cancelled. EMP going to go out, and he's going to be out of mana right away.
He could have blinked away from that, too.
They have all the time in the world to kill him. He can blink out if they can find him, but Tusk is just going to snowball up, and Sun's actually going to steal that kill there. So, yeah, Axe jumping in. They do manage to get the Sven, but pays for it with his life.
I think these wards were scattered out by Sun here in the Radiant Jungle. It's going to be interesting to see if they make a quick move to get rid of them.
Yeah, and he actually picks up the Oblivion Staff, so at the same time he's going to get Eggs as well as his Orchid. And it's definitely a great pickup. You want to Orchid down that RP so that doesn't come out, but not only that, everything coming out from Rinrunner so she can't get away or even start a team fight, and the Omni Knight just doing so much work too with his heals and just everything blocking out with the Repel and Guardian's Angel. Meanwhile, mid, they're actually going to start to go hard here. Repel going out on Toolbox, and Tusk is dusted, so they know he's coming in the back end. But Kayla's throwing off the Mask of Madness, and they want to go for this. Tornado coming out, as well as the stun on Toolbox. EMP, and Denise manages to get off the RP, but pays for his life with the EMP going down. And Invoker actually taking him down.
Yeah.
Windrunner actually able to get away there in the back end, eh?
I was really, really impressed that she did get away, but I think it was just because of that RP. I don't think it would have been very offensive. Magnus knew he was going to die. He wasn't going to be able to skewer them anywhere, but he saved the carry. So very, very good play.
And they're going to look to push this hard. I mean, why not? With the Magnus down, they don't have a lot of initiation potential. And I think Windrunner actually spent most of her mana, and she's actually going all the way back here to base. So, yeah, I think if they want to just start pushing down this mid, they need a little bit more map control now that they've lost 2 towers. And Trash Brothers still keeping all their outer tier towers intact. And Drow just looking to farm as well as the Windrunner. She might even push top. Orchid almost coming out for Sun here. He's finished his second Oblivion Staff, and he's only about 100 gold away for finishing that recipe. With this Midas, he's just going to come online real quick here. Once he picks that Orchid, he's able to gank it solo by himself. And then, as soon as he gets a couple kills, a little bit of extra gold, he'll be picking up that eggs right away too. And that's going to be a huge game changer for them.
Now, Kalis is saving up his money here. Do you think he's actually going to end up going for that BKB, despite maybe not being the best item for the situation?
I mean, you tend to always go for BKB. Hold up here. They're actually going really hard. Walrus Punch coming out on top of Bubble Pop, and Bubble Pop running really low, and he's going to go down to the right click. And Tusk, Kalis turns around, throws out the ult, but gets dunked down by M-Times, and I think Squid's going to be a little in trouble here if he gets chased down. Battle Hunger on top of him, but meanwhile, Toolbox going down to the Tusk on the along with TWR, and Squid's actually going to be okay. So that is a 2-for-1. 2 cores for just the single core on Sven, and that's actually a big engagement.
Sun was chasing down the Omni Knight mid too. We almost saw a kill coming out for the Invoker. Would have made it a 3-for-1, but he does manage to escape with his life.
Now, talking about the Sven here, yeah, it's interesting. If he does get the BKB, it's still a lot of survivability coming out for him, but a lot, like you said, does go through the BKB. So there's just so much right click coming out from Trash Brothers that I find that if he wants to save for a heart later on, that's probably more prudent than getting the BKB early out.
What's he going to be blocking? He's going to be blocking the Shadow, or the Shackle Shot and Battle Hunger?
The Shackle Shot, the Silence, the Battle Hunger. Yeah, I mean, not huge game-changing abilities. Sure, the Shackle Shot's annoying if you can't get out of it, but he's just going to get turned on by the right click of all of them, and if they want to RP and skewer him out, or just call him straight up and start taking him down, that's going to be really effective. And Smoke actually being revealed. RP going down on top of Kalos, and gets charged right into being turned into a frog. Bubble Pop, meanwhile, gets silence on 3 here, and Sven actually just going to go hard on Denise, and he's running really low. This might be a solo kill. It is indeed. In the back here, through the trees, Invoker going down, and Legend picking off 2 kills there. Bubble Pop's going to turn hard, but he's almost out of mana, and he's not going to be able to chase down Squid much longer, but not the Mama. Fortunately is there with the Degen Aura. And that ends up being a 4-for-2 trade. Tusk almost going down rather quick too. Luckily he has the Shadow Blade, and he's going to get out in safety. But yeah, I think Axe just brought down really quick there, and they weren't able to get out as much damage as they would have hoped. And Sven just being caught out, getting Magnus stuck in his head, and doesn't want to turn back and get any more damage in the rest of that team fight. And they trade 4 for it.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's always important to take out the Magnus. He did try to use the RP, I think. Oh, he just used it on the Sven. But what it comes down to is they have Sven for damage, Trash Brothers has Drow and Wind Ranger for damage, and more lockdown. It's going to be difficult to take these fights.
Exactly, and as we're talking about it here, I mean, how are things really looking? Right off the bat here, Windrunner's actually getting rather big. She's almost got her Agnum Scepter. Legend doing a lot of work, does get Shackle Shot here. Dust does go out, and Wins with this double damage. It's going to take him down real quick. Gets 3 TPs to come right back in. Sun wants to chase her down, but I think she'll be okay. But looking at how things are going, there's a lot of farm coming out from the side of Trash Brothers, and sure, they lose a couple of key players, but they end up taking most of the team fights there.
Invoker's gonna get rid.
Meanwhile, Sun being engaged on, gets Stinglight coming out here. Invoker managing to take down the Magnus, and TWR coming out with a stun on Toolbox. repel going on him from Not the Mama, and she's just going to look to go on top of this Invoker. Sun running really low and goes down to the one last little right click from Toolbox. And Lion wants to chase this down, but going a little farther, buddy, and brought down really quick from that Drow with a Mask of Madness engaged there. And meanwhile, End Time's just looking to farm up and steal some Ancients, so that's 3 for 1. Just Magnus going down for Trash Brothers, and these key picks that I've talked about here. It's Tusk as well as the Invoker going down, and the Lion. That's a lot of pickup for Trash Brothers.
I loved how the Invoker stopped to minus a creep. I don't know if he thought he was going to die anyway, so he may as well just try and get a bit of gold first, but very amusing to watch.
Yeah, I think that's what it was too. I mean, if you think you're going down, you might as well just use the abilities that you have, right?
Well, looking at the gold graph here, it looks like things are tilting the way of Trash Brothers, as we've been talking about. It's just, they're able to take these small fights a lot better, which is strange because I thought that the reverse polarity would kind of be the thing that they have to wait for, but they're just engaging without it half the time. There's so much damage coming out from the Drow and the Windranger that they can pretty much kite the entire team of Was.
Yeah, I mean, the last 3 times that it's been used, I think it's all been a solo RP, and like you said, they don't really even need it. Toolbox coming in the back end here. Kalis managing to pop off the Mask of Madness, and that's going to do extra damage to you, buddy. Taken down real quick by Toolbox. That's a mega kill streak coming for him. And meanwhile, on bottom, 4 rotating in, wanting to take this tower. Bubble Pop actually picking up the BKB, so she manages to crank that off. Sun going hard on top of End Times, but he's being brought down from the Drow. And Squid gets really deep in and goes down to the Omni Knight heal. So that's 2 falling down, 1 on mid, 1 on bottom, and I think Invokers just want to get back here. He's running really low and goes down to the Shockwave of Magnus. And this is going to be a free tower for them. That's 3 for 0. And Trash Brothers starting to take down this team fight right away.
I think they're going to be able to take this tier 2 tower, and it may not even stop at that. I mean, there's 3 dead on the side of What a Surprise, and this Windranger, if she sticks around, can just burst down.
And now that they've taken a bunch of kills, they're sitting pretty healthy in gold, as we've talked about. What do they need to do next? I mean, they're starting to take towers pretty healthily. Do they want to kind of get back and take this comfortable lead as a time to farm up and get some key items on, maybe take a Roshan, or should they just kind of start to keep pushing, take extra towers, and really shut out any farm coming out from that Sven?
Well, since Invoker's going to be back up soon, I think that they should just take the Roshan, and then I'm pretty confident that they could march up high ground as long as they have reverse polarity up.
Yeah, they have so much sustain coming out from Not the Mama, and with that reverse polarity as well as the call from Axe, all the blink daggers online, that is a lot of lockdown. And this will be a double damage probably going on Bubble Pop or Toolbox, so this should be a Roshan. Yeah, they look to go inside, and who do you think is going to pick it up here?
I think it should go on the Windranger for obvious reasons, and I'm curious as to why she thought she had to pop the double damage for the Roshan. I would have saved that for the high ground.
Yeah, so much sustain coming out from them already. She didn't really need it, but quick rush anyway, and no vision up for What a Surprise, so easy rush to take down, and I think this might be it. Like you said, I think they can pretty much just march up high ground. There's not really anything they need to get key on any of these heroes. Wind already doing so much damage for the right click. Axe having a blink dagger, a little bit of tank coming out, and really Denise, all he has to be there for is just the RP. Omni Knight's doing a ton of work in the back end, and obviously Drow doing so much damage with their right click. So yeah, I think you're right, and they can just march up high ground. They do manage to get a smoke off, and maybe they're going to rotate in and try and get this.
Now Sven did pick up a blink dagger. I guess he may not be going for that BKB rush that we were suspecting, and we do see the silver edge picked up on Tusks, so a couple of items that might help them a little bit. The blink maybe just for the surprise factor, but
unstoppable.
Oh jeez, yeah, Wind picking off that Lion so quick down in the jungle here, and she's starting to run a little unstoppable here on quite a streak, and this should be a T1 or T2 tower for them. I don't think there's a lot that they can go on. They're sitting pretty healthy. Bubble Pop with a lot of health now that she has an ultimate orb. Toolbox doing the same with the Aegis. This should be a T2 tower for free.
And there it drops. That level 3 focus fire with Aghanim Scepter is just so unstoppable if you get it before the 30-minute mark, no less.
Is being attacked.
Now what should What a Surprise be doing right now? They really need this Sven to come online as well as Sun. Now that he has the Orchid, he's almost at Eggs. Is that really what they need to wait for? Or do they need to get this Sven a lot more online and get some more items on him?
Really, I think that they just need to very, very carefully pick their team fights. They need to get a lot of disable and give Sven, 3 or 4 seconds to just right-click down the enemy team. But there's so much tank, I don't know if they can do it.
Tornado going out. He manages to hit 2, but Magnus blinks right ahead and gets an RP on 2 of himself. And they manage to silence up the Invoker. Walrus Punch coming out on Bubble Pop. Both teams sitting about half health apiece. But I think they're going to be okay here, and better heads prevail. They're going to look to get out and maybe try to re-gauge this another time. And Tower sitting pretty comfortable. I don't think they can really jump on this quite yet. It's going to be difficult for them to go in.
Yeah, I don't know about the blowing the RP so early there, and it wasn't even on key heroes, I don't think. Sven at least wasn't caught in it. I think they should be saving that.
Just the Invoker.
Just the Invoker, yeah. They need to be initiating with the Axe more.
Man, can that Tornado fly. Picks off Toolbox, and I mean, yeah, they're sitting okay with the Omni Knight, but don't have a ton of mana left. I don't think they really want to push this quite yet. They do have a lot of damage. Wind actually does pick up a Blink Dagger, so they want a little bit of extra initiation other than just as Magnus and Axe.
Oh my god, that's 3 Blink Daggers on their team. They have so much initiation. They could pretty much pop the Omni Knight ult and everyone just blink in and have a good time.
Yeah, no doubt. Lots of initiation, like you said. If she gets in there and gets a good shackle off in any of the trees, that'll be a quickly dead hero here. And Bubble Pop with the BKB, she can sit out and deal damage just as much as she wants to, whether it's Kalis or, ooh, Shackle Shot going out on Sun, and Windrunner's going to go hard on him. Stun does go out on top of her, and she's coming down really low. Repel does go out, so she should be okay to escape with her life. But Invoker being blown up really quick. Toolbox almost getting a really key kill there.
Yeah, very easy for her to just run up with the Aegis, with the Omni Knight ult, and with the Repel on the back foot. She can pretty much do whatever she wants. She has a license to kill.
And they actually have a lot of ward vision coming out here. I mean, what a surprise. It's got this whole jungle warded, as well as where their old T2 on the top used to be. They just know if they're going to engage or not, so they're sitting pretty comfortable. And Trash Brothers finally figured out and decided to go farm some jungle, get some more key items on any of their heroes. Drow's probably going to... Is she going to go for that Scotty later on?
I think so. It's so much additional slow, and it stacks with the lifesteal, so there's no reason not to get it if the game goes late enough. She does need tank ability, and it will give it to her.
Now, Axe has got this comfortable Sange sitting with 3,200 in the bank. Is he going to finish a Heaven's Halberd, or where do you think he's going to go here?
Well, if Sven's not going to go BKB, they're taking full advantage of the fact that there's so much BKB piercing disable on the side of Trash Brothers that there's no incentive to get BKB for Sven, so why not just pick up a Heaven's Halberd and completely eliminate him in team fights?
Yeah, Drow's getting really close to the Scotty now, picking up two ultimate orbs. For net worth, here we got Windrunner sitting at well over 14k, and Drow just behind her. It's only the Invoker sitting at just over 11k here in net worth, and they're just kind of poor. Sven way down in the charts here, just not able to get the farm that he really wanted on bottom. Manages to pick up a Blink Dagger instead, but I don't think it's his real good key item that he needs to really come back in this game.
Yeah, I really don't know what they're supposed to do. What a surprise. Just has such an uphill battle if they want to try and stage a comeback. They don't have a single tower, and behind on kills, way behind on farm. Sven just utterly almost useless in these team fights. Not to say that Kalis is useless, just the situation has lent itself to Trash Brothers having an easy time.
And it's not like they can get out there and start stacking camps for him either. He's really being held in to his own base. He just can't get out there safe. They got ward vision pretty much everywhere. Got a sentry out in the front door just in case for Tusk coming out. They just can't get out there and farm, and Trash Brothers taking full advantage of it, just pushing lanes, going back and farm, pushing lanes, and rinse, wash, repeat, right? Like, it's just not going to happen.
It's strange, and given the circumstances, pretty much everyone on What a Surprise can farm the incoming creep waves except the Sven, because he's the only one that can't get out there and have some AoE nuke. I mean, you could try and cleave it, but they're just going to jump on him.
They have a good amount of defense here on high ground, though. Like, we saw it on top lane. They wanted to jump in there with that Aegis still in line on the Windrunner, and they just weren't able to do it. Only getting the RP on one, so that might have been the factor for it, but I don't know if they can really get in there quite yet. A couple more key items for a little bit of extra damage is probably going to be important, but now as we say it, Invoker picking up an Agnum Scepter, so that's even more defense on the high ground. It could be a lot of back and forth here, really struggling to take these T3s. They just can't quite do it yet, even though they're getting a ton of farm here, back and forth, and really just getting everything on top of this Drow as well as the Windrunner. It's going to be hard to pierce that base.
It really is.
But they do manage to pick out Toolbox, get a stun on her, but RP going on 4, and End Time's coming in the back here, and gets off a huge dunk on top. Double dunk for him, picks off the spin, picks off the lion, triple dunk for the axe, and manages to pick off the tusk, and this is what they needed. This is their opening. They're going to manage to take high ground here. There's only one buyback coming out on Sven, but I don't think there's a lot for him to do. And he does actually jump on top of Squid here, and just going to push him right back to Fountain. This will be a T3, including a Rax. And just like that, as we're talking about it, Trash Brothers getting the jump right back in on what was a great initiation by that Invoker and Sven, but just not able to clean up Toolbox.
Yeah, and here I was about to say that they should probably wait for another Aegis before marching up high ground, but we did see the Tornado miss on Toolbox, and I think that would have made things go a little bit differently if they'd been able to Orchid her and burst her down before she could get away.
And just like that, that's 2 racks down really quick, and probably a third, and it's going to be a pretty quick GG if they take him down. I mean, Trash Brothers just taking a comfortable lead here, taking over all the map control and farm as soon as they get a couple engagements. And yeah, that last one pretty much taking the whole game here, and I don't see much of a comeback here coming from What a Surprise. They still have yet to take a tower, just no gold at all. And this could be one last hurrah coming out. Instead, the Invoker looks to get back, and they might actually just wait, hang off, maybe hold tight. Is there any more items that need to come out here for Trash Brothers? Anything key? Windrunner sitting at 2k.
They don't need anything else. No one can defend Mega Creeps at 38 minutes besides maybe a really farmed Medusa. No less, you know, come back and take T1s.
I totally agree. I mean, there's really nothing that they need, but they might just get greedy and want to get something last out. And Drow just kind of sitting comfortable, stealing Ancients. She's finished her Scotty, and it's a 4-staff coming out from Omni, so woohoo! Omni's feeling pretty rich, sitting at about really the only main support throughout this whole game. And I mean, why not? He's got so much sustain already. Doesn't need to go for the mech. Instead, he opts to pick up the Vlads, and that's really about all he has. And with these megas, it's gonna be a real hard comeback.
He has more net worth than the Sven. I feel so bad for this Sven this game. He's just been given no chance at all.
Kalis throwing out the Shackle on top of Sun. Invoker going down really quick. Tusk actually gets the ball off, but you better be careful here, buddy. You're pretty low. And Power Shot goes off, does miss him, but Kalis is going to go down to Bubble Pop. Throws out the BKB just as insurance. And that's 2 down, 3 down, Godlike, 4 Toolbox. These will be the T4 towers. And this is going to be game 1 going to Trash Brothers.
What a devastating loss for What a Surprise. Just their lineup was not tailored to be able to fight what Trash Brothers have in store.
So, Season 4, Week 5 here, Game 1 for Trash Brothers against What a Surprise, and it is Trash Brothers picking up Game 1. Thanks to Armpit for helping us out in the early intro, and we're going to stick around here for a little bit. Game 2 should start right away.